Hey guys, welcome to this week's video. Today we're going to be talking about my top 5 squat tips on how you can increase your 1 rep max in the squat and how I've increased my 1 rep max by a considerable amount of weight in the last couple of years. So get buckled in. We're going to go over these top 5 tips. First of all, I got this idea from a previous video I did on my top 5 bench tips. So if you're interested in growing your bench a little bit too, you can look into that. Also, I just really appreciate the comments I got in that video. A lot of good questions and a lot of good comments on how people have increased their bench presses. So if you have any additional comments on this video to how to increase your squat, I'd love to see those comments down below, and maybe you can help someone else out, or maybe you can help me out. I love to hear what people have to say on how their training has been, because no one knows it all. Everyone has additional things they can add to the commentary and the discourse as a lifting community. So feel free to drop those comments down below, because maybe someone can get something out of them. So my top tip on how you can increase your 1 rep max in the squat is to squat more frequently. A lot of people who are trying to get into powerlifting or try to increase their strength are still running these old programs that have a lot of leg hypertrophy, which is great, but not through compound movements and not through the right compound movements. So a lot of leg pressing, a lot of quad extensions, people just delivering a lot of their fatigue to these other avenues where they could be drawing back from those and really focusing on the squat and making sure that they're making the squat the most important thing that they're doing. So instead of squatting 1 day a week and then having a leg press or a hack squat or a quad extension on another day, I would suggest potentially doing a couple days of squatting, maybe a heavy day, a lighter day, and a medium day, with different goals in between. There's a lot of great programs out there, just free programs online that do have this kind of setup. I would suggest, if you're a little bit further down the line, maybe potentially getting a coach, and making sure that your goals, you speak clearly. I want to grow my squat, and this is how I want to do it. But number 1 on the list is just squatting more. You're going to learn the skill faster. You're going to get stronger quicker. Now, number 2 on the list is bracing more effectively. I did a previous video on this topic already. I'll put that on the screen here if you want to take a bigger look into that. But essentially what that is the Valsalva maneuver. You're going to make sure you increase your abdominal pressure before you go down into the lift. The way I like to explain it is, imagine your core like it's a balloon. When you don't take a big breath in and push out around, making that skin tight around your stomach, when you don't do that, it's like a balloon that's like has no air in it. Like if you try to squat on that, it's just gonna like fall over. But if you do take that big breath in and you fill up your lungs and you create that intra-abdominal pressure, it's like the balloon is filled up, and you have a lot more tension and a lot more tension that you can implement, and you can force that you're creating through your legs up through your torso, which is now tight, into the bar that's sitting on your upper back. So making sure that you know how to brace and making sure you've researched that well, and then implementing that in your training and really working at it. It can be uncomfortable at first, but really working on that to make sure that you have a tight core when you're lifting is super crucial, and something that if you can figure out can really put a lot of weight on your squat relatively quickly. Now, number 3 on the list is reducing other areas of fatigue. So one of the things that I did early on in my lifting journey was throwing all these things on top of lifting. So when I say that, I mean, I'd go play basketball, I'd go on long runs, I would do a whole bunch of bodyweight exercise for like no reason, but it would just be, junk volume at some point where I'm not getting any additional benefit out of it, but it would inhibit my training from going well on the days that I would squat. So when I would squat, I would be tired from running, or I'd be tired from doing these other exercises. Not that those cannot be implemented when you do go train. It's just making sure that the one thing in your training is the one thing. So if you want to squat big, maybe focus a little bit more of your time towards squatting and focusing on those squats and reducing the fatigue from other areas of your fitness life. So I'm not saying just quit playing basketball or quit playing softball or flag football or whatever it may be, but making sure that if lifting is the one thing, to make lifting the one thing. Do these things in limited frequency and limited intensity. Maybe not go run full court for 2 or 3 hours and then try to squat the next day, but maybe go play 3-on-3 for 30 minutes. I mean, still great cardiovascular for your cardiovascular health, and it's still fun. Just maybe reducing the amount of fatigue you're going to incur before you do go squat. So that's number 3 on my list. Number 4 on my list is converting to low bar. If you already squat in low bar, I'm sure you can attest that it is one of the biggest things that can help you squat more in your 1-rep max. And for a lot of people, especially for people who have really long femurs, converting to low bar is so crucial in getting to even hitting depth. One of my buddies, he recently converted to a low bar several months ago, and he said it's been the biggest game changer for his squat. He took his previous 1-rep max when he was squatting high bar for a ride for like 3 or 4 reps the first day he converted. He had never practiced it before. So it's, for some people, especially if you have long femurs, it can really reduce the range of motion, but not only that, it can put you in a more advantageous position to keep that bar over the middle of your foot and staying balanced, especially when you're getting closer to depth. In addition to being a little bit more comfortable for a lot of people, it recruits a lot of other muscle groups than just quads. So a high bar squat focuses more on, hits the quads a little bit more, whereas a low bar squat recruits glutes and hamstrings and your erectors a little bit more. It's more of kind of an all full body movement, not just hitting the quads directly. So when you do get that recruitment from a lot more muscles, it's you can really squat more. The range of motion is a little bit more limited, but I personally think converting to low bar has been great for my hip health, not having to be completely stacked the entire time or as much stacked, and really being able to recruit more muscle groups and spread the fatigue around has been really nice and really helpful for my squat. So I couldn't suggest converting to low bar more if squatting more is your main goal. If you want to grow big quads, or like if hypertrophy is your main goal, like if you want to stick with high bar, but if you're trying to squat more, I would really suggest converting to low bar. Now, the 5th tip on how you can increase your 1-rep max in the squat is to make sure that you focus on every single rep. Making sure that you focus on every single rep will make that movement pattern so familiar to you that when you do get under that really heavy bar, when you do go for that new max, you're going to be super prepared and super comfortable in how to take that and making sure that it looks just like all of the squats that you've done up through prep up to that point. Making sure that you brace between every rep, making sure that all the angles are the same, the bar is over midfoot, you're tight in your back, you're tight in the core. Making sure all these things are locked in on every single rep will help you grow your strength so much more than you think that you will. Sometimes even now I can get lazy and on back offsets or whatever, just banging out reps, just going up and down, not even thinking about it. And, you really lose an opportunity there to really focus on what it would feel like to have all that weight on your back and making sure that you perform every rep like it is your single. So especially on higher rep sets, so say you're doing a set of 6, by the time you get to the 5th or 6th rep, that weight on your back feels as if it is your 1-rep max, depending on the RPE. So just making sure that you're executing on every single rep and making sure that every rep is done the same as if it is your 1-rep max. So that's going to wrap up today's video. Again, feel free to comment down below if you have any comments on the tips that I gave or additional commentary on what you think that people should be doing to increase their 1-rep max in the squat, so we can get a little conversation going, see how we can increase everyone's strength, because the rising tide raises all ships. Thanks for watching today's video, and always remember, stay strong, boys.